Getting video. Video's going through. Haha. Gotta get some music going for a few seconds. Something to start it up. Check my levels. Not quite in tune? I don't know. I got headphones on. Can't tell. Banjocast is imminent. I'm here to tell you, though, there's a pre-recorded section this evening, and I'm going to let it start playing while I do something else in the background. I just recorded this a few moments ago. It's going to be difficult for me to ever do this live using this method. I'm going to admit it. I also need to make sure that I haven't got this made too large for the actual what it's capturing. So I'm just allow me to resize this for a second. That's better. Here's a pre-recorded section to tonight's proceedings. It's a piece of software which is called Pioneer. And I enjoy it infrequently, but it's been developed the last number of years. It's free. There's a link in the description. Have a look at it. Take two. I've set up for stream too. I might, maybe I should just stream this first and then resume for a chat afterward. I hadn't thought of that. I don't really need to see what I'm streaming. I like to know for sure that it's received. Anyhow, I'll try recording first and then playing back the recording later. Which is a very common thing I noticed in some YouTube channels. Anyhow, this is a program called Pioneer, link in the description. Find it necessary to use Pioneer for the purposes of demonstration because of some of the discussions which are going to be forthcoming with what I've been doing with Charlottesville clips for the last month or so. And I'm not complaining or anything. I find the wealth of material available to be particularly compelling because of the content. Also been informed today, I found out that there had been some form of attack happen in Alberta yesterday, or sometime today, maybe early this morning. So I've got to look into some of the news on that later. I'll probably do that on the stream, quite honest. What is Pioneer? Well, Pioneer, to put it simply, is how to describe it? Yeah, it's the poor man's version of Elite Dangerous at the moment. Poor man's, the chintzy, maybe that's the right word, I don't know. It's free, and it's a bit like Elite. It's like actually more like Elite 2, but with better graphics. And currently it allows me to do things like make the trip from Earth to the moon quickly and efficiently, like in the space of 2 hours. So I've been flying this particular curve on the way to the moon for the last 2 hours. I'm going to try to land on camera and in real time. I'm not going to time advance at any point here. I've been using the inbuilt map system to try to figure out where I'm going to be and when. It currently says I'm about 39 minutes out from the moon. Not too far. I could top 40 minutes, and I don't want to do this on stream or play it back later without editing it. all in one line cut. Just because. But this is an interesting type of problem simply because, like, for example, I've got this built-in map system to help me calculate when the event is going to be, i.e. my encounter with the moon. I can also see that my current trajectory is going to miss a little bit, so I could update that to make sure that I'm not going to miss the moon when I get close to it. But it's, as I get closer, like, the likelihood of me missing it gets less and less. And I'm currently centered right on my target, which is Tranquility Base. I could update that a little. I'll raise my the little gray diamond here. That's my prograde vector, and this is my prograde relevation, like relevant to the current target. So it shows I'm kind of leading the target from above in the way that I'm rotating, but I'm rotating around the gray vector, not the yellow one. One of the few, how to put this, one of the few limitations of the way that this handles navigation is I can't switch between these 2 points when I rotate. It's too bad. I'd like to be able to do that. Sometimes I'd like to be able to control this vector by locking on that one, and then vice versa, which is currently true. I'm locked on this vector. I'd like to be locked on that one. Maybe that'll be a feature which is added later. Pioneer's in development. This is a fairly recent build, late August. Over here we have our target display. We also have the frame of reference display. I can switch between them, but one is already over here. Here's the target display. Target's the yellow lock, the square. Currently approaching Tranquility Base at 42 kilometers a second, just about. It's going to take me 10 megameters, or 10 million meters, to slow down using main thrusters. And if I use my regular retro thrusters, which I've currently planned to do, it's going to take me around 10 times that distance. Well, not 10 times, but between 6 and 7 times that distance. When this gray bar fills the slightly less shaded gray bar, I'm going to put my mouse here to wait for that. But it's coming closer because we're just crossed 89, so I'm ready for a retro burn any moment now. And we'll be retro burning close to the surface. Then I'll manually try to fly it in for Tranquility. But we're coming in straight at the near side of the moon. If we look back, that's the Earth there, so that's the near side of the moon. This is one of the rare times when we're actually using a simulator which has enough delta V inbuilt. If I show this for a second, currently I've got forward acceleration for 8.6 Gs, a lot of delta V. This is the acceleration I've got. Backward and up. So my backward vector is the one that I'm paying attention to. My backward delta V. I'll be using this thrust to slow down. And it's still another, 16 megameters away. 1,000 kilometers is a megameter. I've got a keyboard set up for controlling this. Currently I've got control for roll on Q and E. Got WASD for pitch and yaw. And then I've got thruster control over on another quadrant, similarly arranged for my other 3 fingers. JKLI for left, right, forward and back, and then up and down on U and O. Mostly using the thrusters, not so much the steering when in space. Earlier part of this save is actually really cool. I might try streaming that part because it's fun. And if I screw this up, definitely. Oh yeah, I was going to use my. I've been thinking about using my mouse as a indicator. Maybe that's why they left a little hole in the middle, so you could read stuff through it. Like when the bar gets shaded at a certain point. I don't know. Funny mouse. It's like a ticket with a hole punched. Very tempting to use the time acceleration, but I've carefully timed my transit. It's 2.5 hour transit. I've accelerated to 40 kilometers a second. And it will take time to slow down. And when the time is ticked off, like we can take 60k off, or 60k off those. Or 60k, no. We'll take 60 off of those megameters. We'll be way, way closer. I'm expecting my gravity. Currently, this is the frame of reference. Earth. We're still not close enough to the moon for the moon's gravity to take over, to be more significant than the Earth's. So we've passed by what's called the Lagrange point. We're passing through it. And that's L1 between Earth and Moon. When that switches over, we'll kind of see an indication in this display. There'll be a rotational indication, even though nothing's changed. And this is the inertial frame of reference. So the current frame of reference in the inertial engine is going to be represented by, I'll show you, by this vector, or this rotation, this angle. $78. Hey, it gets to 73. I'm going to start burning. I mean it. 73 and no farther. Hey, maybe I get a cup of tea first. I don't know. Maybe I should get a cup of tea first. Why didn't you put one in a friggin' thermos, you idiot? Moon is getting close enough to actually see it here now. I'll go into an external view. Get a little closer to the ship. Oh, there's the ship. If I turn off all indicators, there we go. The moon's fairly close by and getting closer. Whereas the Earth, that's our indicators in space being projected, so that's perfectly left, perfectly to port, perfectly to starboard, over there, perfectly above, perfectly below, they're all marked. So I can use this external view to line up targets too, or line up burns. And currently it's got the navigational computer handling the hold on prograde. But it's prograde relevant to current frame of reference, so when that switches, it'll flip to the one that I actually want anyhow. I don't really need to flip to this one ahead of time. I think this is the future vector I'm plotting out. I could actually, if I really wanted to be smart about it, I could probably lower that vector. I've got a cup of tea. Reflect that when it switches over to the moon's frame of reference fairly shortly. Chat is up, by the way, even though I wasn't where I actually want for my target. Anyone wants to jump in. Don't have to really watch this, but this hasn't been uploaded anywhere. This is merely something I might start streaming without a chat interface. You'll still be able to chat, but there won't be. 73, I said I was going to start burning. I think you'll still be able to chat, because I'll set up now using my whatever first start streaming retro thrusters as well. Wow, you can hear the key presses. It's nuts. I'm getting an idea now. What am I looking at? It's something I pre-recorded. Probably a little too much Jola English there, so to speak. It's a program called Pioneer. I'll bring it back up again. And the whole idea is it's a space flight. I'm currently using space flight simulator in a mode on my how to describe it, like economics trading, whichever direction I move in. I can see too my rotation is this part is kind of coincidentally I want these to be up and down, linked to Blender. which probably explains why I thought it was off left and right. I'm landing on the moon. This would be better. Trying to keep the distance between these two vectors as small as possible, and I gotta keep burning backward now, no matter what I do. Although I'm ahead of this gray bar's burn down, I could really stop now and let it take up again. Save a bit of fuel and get closer to the target before I'm on final approach. I'll be coming in at less than a kilometer a second or around a kilometer a second until, 100 kilometers away. And then I'll be 100 seconds away. So there's plenty of time to slow down. We can think of that as a maneuvering burn, which I just made there. Here's the. I don't see the aliens. No, I didn't. Anyhow, not this time. They'll let me go. Never actually tried. I'm lucky I didn't crash on final approach. Wow, pretty far. This is the main thing. Can I do it in one go without crashing? Yeah, I think I might be able to do it. I still had to use the damn autopilot. Doesn't make the target seem much closer or farther away, so it's within a couple hundred meters. Neat. Learn something new about Pioneer every day. Well, not every day. Not every day. I put this down for a long time. I was waiting for an update because the older versions they weren't getting some of these newer features, which include updated numbers to at least consider, and some of the UI has changed for the this part. It's changed significantly and easier to read consequently. It's easier to control it. So now I'm starting to think seriously about what's missing. Not that I have anything to do with the code up to now, I haven't, but I could see where I could put a few MFDs on, or where I might want certain calculations in my hands and not fingertips rather than on another page where it doesn't tie in. Currently says we're 26 minutes away. Let's actually double check that number because I haven't updated it since I made all these burns. Yeah, it's pretty close. The gray bar is ticking up again because I'm getting closer and closer. It's going to be pretty close to 60 or shortly after. 60 megameters. So what's this useful for? You can think of this, if you needed a way of thinking about it other than the way that I'm thinking about it, it's or if you're wondering why I'm thinking about it at all, it's kind of like a driver's ed course, but for future time when we get to worry about knowing how to make a lunar transfer manually. However, it's pretty simple. Rocket science, no, it's rocket flying, which is slightly different. Still has some, funny ideas attached to it. Like if you want to go faster, you got to go slower, and when you go slower, you're going to go lower. When you go lower, you go faster. You go too fast, you start going straighter. You go straighter, you fly right off the vector which curves you around. Therefore, you're not in orbit anymore. You're flying away from. So orbit's got a really low tolerance for actual speeds. Want to fly higher, you got to go slower by getting away further when you even out your speed over it. Crazy stuff. It's ticking good. But this is kind of like, the lunar landing challenge. This one, it's something I've been thinking about too. I might draw up a couple of suggestions as a new user to Orbiter for the development team, or at least I might put together a script or two which would show what I mean when I say I'd like an MFD which does this or does that. A multi-function display, I mean by MFD. I'd like some kind of a flight computer interface. which would give me one display quadrant here on the GUI somewhere, which will allow me to fool with some of these calculations for what the flight computer wants to do. Because it's nice to be able to set it to a specific velocity and let it burn whatever engine it wants to burn without necessarily turning the ship, but sometimes it's buggy. Sometimes it's not enough control. Like I could tell it right now I want to burn down to, I can tell it explicitly I want to burn down to some other speed. Like it's currently holding my speed as it thinks I'm falling away from Earth. Or maybe it's showing that I'm starting to accelerate away from Earth because I'm getting closer to this moon. Also true. 56 and I feel fine. Says I still got time here. Shape, path animation. No. Looking for something in particular tonight. I sure as heck ain't burning any fuel. Well, I say that once it's within like the length of that their cursor, I'm like seriously thinking about it. The whole point of this is to try to avoid using the, trying to avoid using the flight computer. Might let it do the actual landing sequence because that's tricky. And to do it within as short a window as it expects it done, trickier still. But I probably could manage landing on a specific pad. I've landed on the moon before, but not in this simulator. It's not a simulator either, it's a proper game, not a simulator. Economics engine works. Jobs board. It's like being home, man. So relative to target, now my vector above. If I could tweak it over this way, I would. But I don't think I could do it without moving my own... I can't think I'd do it without moving my own vector too much. Then again, I'm going to be losing this gray one that I'm on for the one that's above it, so maybe it's worth me doing this now and having it done early in the burn rather than late. The closer I am to the moon, the more fuel this is going to take. So to do this now would be better. I'm going to be pointing right at the moon when I get there. Passing 300 megameters away from Earth. 312 and counting. Put on the mission clock over on this page. I should stick it on. That would be confusing. It's running. I'd have to pause. Got an idea here, and I was talking about doing it last night, putting speedometers on objects in the map display, and that's what I'm researching as I let this thing play. Because it did it early, I'm getting back a little time on the burn. These engines aren't as efficient as the rear engines, the main engines. I could use main engines and do it in that short a time, which means I can wait until I'm that close, within 8 or within 9, and still have a couple hundred kilometers to work with. something cool about those retro engines, though, using the retro thrust to do the work. I don't know if it's a more efficient engine or not.
This one might work.
Doesn't seem to be as doesn't have as much thrust. That's for sure.
I'm more curious to see how he did it.
Solved. Burns fuel the same way either way. And I'm not too worried about my fuel consumption, but it's currently at what, 96% remaining delta V. 96% of delta V remaining, and it's over. Oh, I've got like 11 totally. It's good for pushing me at least for 11 megameters, whatever direction I choose. Or maybe that's showing me a. Oh, I can't be. Oh, meganewtons. Sorry, meganewtons, not meters. I think it is meters. Look careful. No, megameters. The moon is visibly getting closer as the burn occurs. Again, a little time for finesse. Let's roll it around. I'd rather this was up a bit. Pointing more at the moon is better. Trying to get it right on midline too. Better off to get that yellow vector with respect to the target. I'd rather that one. That's my actual aim point. And the gray one is merely helping me get it lined up for the switch over, like the handoff. Not unlike those cameras I've been setting in Blender. Well, that is actually the right answer here. Earth's gravity ain't going to matter so much soon. Very, very soon. Thing is, I don't want to use the game engine. I want to use regular Blender. So we just lost 10k per second, or 10 kilometers per second since the burn began. Speed by positional change. Let's switch the map view. It'll hold for a minute or two. 15 minutes out. But apparently, I'm going to be using. Captain thinks arrival time is going to be at 17:13. He's today, wrong. January 1st, 3200. What kind of a number is that? 32 Jan 1, 16, 58, 55, 56. Arcane. About a half hour downstream in this recording. That's good though. That means we're going to be done in 40 minutes flat. Gee, I hope it can slow down in time. It's beginning to wonder. It's making it past 31. I might have to flip around just to be sure. Flip to the outside view there. Can't zoom this view either, which is a bit of a pain in the butt. Sometimes it would be nice to be able to
not what I really
zoom
need.
in here a little. Might be able to get closer to target and see where these vectors are with relation to. The other thing with this yellow and the gray vector, the position of the target to the yellow vector will determine how it moves toward the gray vector. So I want to try to get the yellow target on the gray vector as close as possible. When I get closer to the moon like this, then I can gradually move my gray vector out a bit to ensure that I'm going to get a downward vector toward where the yellow one is. That looks really nice. This will also tend to get the retro burning where I really want it. Guess I could also do it this way. Have it up a tiny bit. Maybe I should just play with this. I think I might just play with Blender a little bit. Figure if I can't do it on my own, because this shouldn't be too difficult. Figure out what the right I'll move away farther from that yellow vector if I do that. I don't want that happening. We're at 30 megameters coming up on. I can actually let go of the thruster key for a little bit here. I might try the next sequence by locking onto that vector myself. We're kind of getting like a whole Death Star thing here, this outside boundary, and then the little counter shaded interior, and then there's like something in the middle. Pew! Yeah, but that's a trick of the light. See? So let's go over here. Lock on that one. Gonna burn the rest of the way on that one. I got time to reposition a little. This should pretty much hold that yellow vector, but I want to have it closer to the target, so I'm gonna manually steer it in here. I can rotate to get that angle again. I want to shift them both over. And now up. I'll be pointing more or less directly at target when I'm making the burn. Still got time to wait for another burn though. So we can think of that last one as an adjustment maneuver to get ready for the landing. It also bled off about a quarter of the speed that I held a little bit over. And that'll give us time to wait before the next burn is necessary, and this will change the arrival time. Well, of course it will, because we've been burning. Even so, it still thinks, hey, you're not that far out, dude. 16 minutes right now. 16 minutes ticking down, and if I don't do anything other than start to burn, it won't be much longer than 16 minutes. So the time is extending here now. It's going to be a little bit longer than I expected. Best thing for me to do is to wait. Yeah, how about that? We'll switch cameras. Going to be looking for that vector. That's the way I had it. So now if I look forward, I'm looking at the Earth, and if I look rearward, I'm looking at the Moon. But I want to hold on the vector that's going to be the landing vector. So I did that with mouse and keyboard. And now rather than use my retro thrusters, I'll use my main ones, and I'll let this tick down a bit. We'll get closer. We will be within 5. Look at that, man. That's really close. Shit, I got lots of time. Add text. Yeah, this thing was made for something like this. But I don't need to see all of it. I only want to see some of it, like this. And mission clock is going to get put below release the camera. Much better. Still got time to use the retro thrusters. But hey, let's get the most out of the current speed. It says we get there in 16 minutes, so if I wait for let's see, 4/5 of the time, 5/6 of it, 5, 6, 16. I like the fractions. Fractions are fun. So also thinking last night about vector addition, which is something I haven't done ever in an academic context, but I understand how it works, I think, well enough to use Blender to do it. And it's partly to do with these two gray vectors we got in front of us. Is the addition between them that makes this a tricky thing. Wow, I still have time to use the retros. Gonna do it. I was actually rather proud of myself here. I flipped it around, took a chance, started burning. And I very nearly screwed the pooch in the end. Let's do it with the cheap engines, with the the low gravity thrust. We don't see a G thruster here to show how much we're actually being thrusted in any given direction. Now there is a display about it, like backward acceleration. So it only thrusts backwards at almost 2 Gs, but it thrusts forward at 9 Gs, or close to. Python scripting and yeah. It's a fun burn getting to the moon from Earth. I was just thinking about how to describe it too, and getting onto the right plane to hit the moon. It's not difficult. It's really close to the Earth's equator. Well, it's really close to the Earth's ecliptic, not the equator. It's tight to the Earth's ecliptic, so therefore to get on its line isn't terribly hard if you launch to the eastward and wait to the right moment to boost for the moon. So that you can make up you can get the best effect for your energy, your thrust. But Pioneer doesn't care so much about, it gives you so much free delta V compared to reality that I can make a 2-hour trip to the moon routinely. Which is why I say it's kind of a futuristic driver's instruction manual on how to drive standard on a trip to the moon. Not going to have much time for maneuvering when we get finished this burn. It's really close to the margin for the retro engines. If I turn around and burn with the main engines for 5 or 10 seconds, it would make a big difference in that gray bar. And I'd be committed to using the retros or the main engines then for a little while anyway. We're getting pretty damn close to the moon, 20 kilometers a second still. Losing lots of speed with respect to Earth. Falling down the lunar gravity well though, so as we get closer to it, we're going to start picking up speed with respect to it. You can see how the vector is drifted away from the actual center of my display. I'm going to reposition the ship with the mouse. Ooh, I didn't mean to shoot the... Damn. Yeah, I don't think it can go that far. Let's hope the cops don't come after me. All seems to be going according to plan here. Ah, right on. I just saw exactly what I needed to see. It's still quite far from the moon. A tangent to the frame, a tangent to the frame. 14,000 kilometers on each of those things. Burning closer though, or getting closer by the tick. Yeah, I'm darn tempted to roll to get more use out of this engine here now. Let's push it down a tiny bit. Make sure we're thrusting right against the gravity. So that knocked my own alignment out a little bit, but it's okay. As I said before, this is going to tend to push the base towards where my gray vector is located. That's okay. As I get closer to the moon, I can roll around and push it back up there, or this is really not going to be that one I'm worried about anymore. The gray one's going to disappear in favor of the yellow one. Wow, we're getting pretty close, getting pretty close. Going 20 kilometers a second, we are coming up on 11,000 kilometers from the moon. There ain't no more crew aboard this ship. It's just
Dummies.com got
me, my stick shift courier transit vehicle. Called the Happy Adventure. I didn't pick the color or anything, that's the way she came. I don't want this to be too long of a clip or a video of any kind, and I say I'm probably going to rebroadcast it while I'm streaming something else. It'd be neat to have this to put on and let play. It is content. Different kind of content. Can be commented on. Dang, did I make the right calculation here? Looks like this engine is barely keeping up. I'm going to be burning right till I get there. We'll raise this here vector a little. Want it to stay still. And move it over a little too. Hey, Work. How you doing? I'm doing all right. I'm letting this work in the background while I do some research. So if you're wondering why I'm like grinning over here while there's something else happening over here. We're en route to the moon for a little while. I'm planning to shoot it later. Check over the shoulders. Not expecting any incoming space pirates or anything, but you never can be too sure. And me without a missile or anything on board. Well, you do know I got a laser gun. Not afraid to use it. Sometimes my finger slips. Gotta be careful. Reminds me of this joke I heard one time, like going duck hunting with the Vice President of the United. Never mind. It's his nickname now, Duck. What have we got out here anyway? Ceres. Asteroid. That'd be an interesting trip. Hell, it wouldn't be very far either. Got a couple jobs which would take me to Mars, which is sort of in the vicinity. Got a few days to get there. Haven't got a mining laser. But I could get close enough to have a peek at it. Like make rendezvous and then boost for Mars after. We're going to be burning this whole time down, the whole way. Yeah, the Delta V had to be expended one set of engines or the other. This is going to really lengthen the arrival time though, so let's resume plans as I thought I would do and roll it around one more time. Main engine's going to do the work, but I got to wait for the tick. We're getting pretty close now. I'm going to let 15k a second. We're better than halfway down the burn on the retros. That's great. That'll work nicely. And I need it on that vector. Maybe even a little below it. Like more toward the center of the moon. And we can see what my outbound vector from Earth looked like. Wasn't exactly in the same plane as the moon, but it'll do. That looks really good to me. Something vaguely PlayStation about it, but let's not say any more. Woohoo! Warp drive, very lucky you. And glad to hear that you're good, you and your hubby. Now filled, I'm committed to using my main engines to stopping. Let's check what they, yeah, we just ran down the timer, the last timer I sent out. Current timer says impact in 7 minutes if nothing changes. I'll be burning my mains before that 7 minutes comes around. Oh, and we switched over to the moon's influence. There's my current vector, what used to be the yellow one. If I now use my, I could use my navigational engine or controller. Hold retrograde. Use this for some basic guidance control. Now if I do that, I can use my thrusters to adjust my aim a bit. I like it come at the base a little more this way. So let's swing ourselves around this side of them. Still got time to make this burn work. And I've got a low thrust options on my engines as well. I don't have to use full power. I can burn it half and still be burning it better than what regular engines would do. So I'm going to do that. And I'd like to move, I'd like to get to put the base more up and down the moon's center line. I'm going to aim to get the base over here a little more before I come in on final approach. So I put the vector to this side of it to get it to drift this way. I'm in reverse, so I've got to use the opposite thrusters. Back in time, right? I was just looking at that, like, oh yeah, I did put the clock on, didn't I? The more this vector goes this way, the more this will drift that way. Because that's the direction I'm going in, the vector. And I definitely want them on the center line of the moon when I come at him for final approach. As long as I'm pointing the vector at the moon, I can slow down with respect to the moon. So you can think of this as my actual approach speed, and this towards the base. This is giving me an idea what the base's approach speed's burn time would be. And moon's gravity, as weak as it is still significant. Making all these thruster burns to position this for the approach burn. So I can come screaming right overhead and then I'll turn as I get overhead and it's on the center line. And acquire. Let's see how this works. You see the white bar should be going down now because I'm burning in advance of it being at the top. And it makes a big difference. So let's try it half thrust. Yeah, and I still get pretty good response. So this is great. distance required for main engine braking is the middle number on the yellow. Currently it's going to be, I'm putting it down to around 500 and I'm going to be precise with it. So when I get past 600 I'm going to hit shift and get it to go to half thrust and get a little more precision. It's still increasing because I'm falling toward the moon. Oh right, I got to use opposite thruster. I had the prograde vector line good left and right, but bad up and down. That was for braking purposes. Still got, you know, about 500 kilometers to play with main engines, so I can ride it down a little bit. Let's ride it down and get it over, like get it right underneath here. Coming up on 1,000 kilometers from the moon and from the target. Braking burn. Gonna let the target drift to where I want it, like pretty much right in front of me. Then I can turn to put it on my center line as well. So I want.
Well, it did not hit the moon. No, John.
Target.
No, it didn't.
Between me and the center.
But I got to do some research. So as I'm doing research, I figured there's no need to have like dead air
vector off to the side to get it where I want it.
So I recorded this in advance.
I'll point the vector at it. If I direction,
so close to a crash ending is
on
not
the target
funny.
first, and then burn retro.
I mistakenly advanced the time acceleration
what happens
right as I was getting ready to land.
I'm going to come right down to about 1 kilometer a second. This is going great. This is going absolutely perfect. This is what I want to happen. Getting comfortable with the whole idea of coming in at several kilometers a second and then quickly braking to stop the flow of the what's happening, falling to doom, fiery death. Mars is also on the. We've got a couple jobs to take me to Mars already. So Mars is going to be going. I'll be going there soon, but maybe I'll hit Sirius first. I haven't done any explorations around the asteroids yet. I haven't got any kind of cargo scoop or fuel scoop yet either. Okay, my vector is now going to be as low as 1 kilometer a second when I'm done this, and I'm going to point it back toward the target. So it's getting close to where I want it. I can kill my forward thrusters for a few minutes. Let gravity build up my forward momentum. I got a map display right here. I want to see 1,000 kilometers away, and the target is showing as underneath me and to the front. Oh no, to the rear of me. And it's going to be coming underneath me soon. 350 kilometers away, coming in at 1 kilometer a second and gaining. I'm going to change my low thrust power level to 25%. I don't need a lot of low thrust here to slow down now. All the time in the world. It would be better at about 1 kilometer a second though. Since I got all this time, I might as well switch back to my prograde vector. Hold prograde. That makes this thinking a little bit easier again. Let's get it low. Let's get it a little more under us before I get ready to approach. Maybe I shouldn't use such a low thrust.
I find this
power.
actually funny to watch.
50% thrust, so that
only because
with my retros,
I once read, I have to admit, I once read a copy of Battlefield Earth. 5 times 4 kilometers, so 20 kilometers to stop at full power. And L. Ron Hubbard wrote extensively about how it was possible to fly a ship using a keyboard. And didn't believe it when I read it.
And 40 at half power.
I'm beginning to admit maybe it's possible.
So I'd have to start braking at 10 kilometers to stop in 10 kilometers distance. Above. Let's get there just a little bit faster. If I look below the ship, oh, that's below. That's above. Left and right. Starboard and port. I'm going to raise my vector again. I want it to be underneath. So I've got to switch this vector around to allow for this approach. As I bring it up, forward velocity transfers to the moon itself. I can actually go into orbit if I'm not careful here. And we can see now that the map display is showing it directly underneath Tranquility Base. That's the map. And so it will come into view a little more. If I switch this way, we'll see it better. So that's my forward momentum on the vector toward the moon to get me on landing, like on approach, and I'm soon going to be directly overhead it. I should probably look at stopping. Since I'm about 200 kilometers overhead. Practically passing it. So yeah, this is a long, slow fall to the moon here. The good news is I'm pretty close. Like to where I want to go. So I really could afford to be going a little faster there. Up and down. So let's try fine thrust for 25% maybe. That means 80 kilometers, which is about half the distance that I currently am at when I start using this fine ride it down like the lunar lander kind of thing. Just taking a wild ass guess on some of these numbers too.
but they should work out, I think. Fine controlling the aim here. Oh, what am I saying? I'm only doing 500. It's at a quarter thrust anyway. So it normally is about 5 times whatever that number is. Let's call it 2. So that's 10, so that's 40 kilometers. Still some distance away. I haven't even bothered to call air traffic control at Tranquility Base yet either. Starting to get close enough that the retro thrust is a concern here. 100 kilometers from the surface of the moon and not too far from the target. It says I'm upside down. That says I'm upside right. Great. Looks like we're on final approach. 80 kilometers out. I gotta request docking clearance before I get assigned a docking platform, and I should be within, say, 20 kilometers when I do that, so I've got time to get there. If I don't land in a specific time, they'll say, hey, you gotta come around again. Here's another, ask for another code. Get another number, please. "50 kilometers out, 500 meters a second, falling downrange." Lunar landers actually would be a neat thing to try flying in a sim like this or a game like this. Regular old lunar lander. But I also miss like a general purpose lunar shuttle or cargo transporter, which has got a good hover engine, a couple of, say, pods on either side for forward or retro thrust, and maybe a pair of main engines. I'm not asking for much. You don't have any kind of ship like that, and friends, I want to tell you I'd like a ship like that. Okay, I'm going to ask for landing clearance. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. That was close. I hit Control F key and very nearly screwed the pooch. So I'll let the computer land that last few meters. Very close. That could have been ugly. Thank you for the package. You've been paid in full. That's for making delivery on time. In fact, well ahead of time. That's how I do it. Well ahead of time. So yeah, 3 jobs on Mars to get to. 5 days for the earliest one. It's time for me to get to Ceres, I think. So that's enough of that.
Love you so bad till I don't know what to do. Well, I'm going down Louisiana to get me a mojo hand. I'm going down Louisiana to get me a mojo hand. I'm gonna have all you ever rich and I'm not gonna man. Oh, well, my mojo's working, yeah. Well, my mojo's working, baby. Well, I got my mojo working, yeah, yeah. My mojo's working, all right, yeah. My mojo's working, but just don't work on me.
Yeah, that pretty much ends the moon landing. And that's Chris Osmond's Blue Mood covering my break for me there. I got back just in time. Thank you very much, Chris. I recorded that gig back in the earlier part of the year. I think it was around about Paddy's Day, unless I sadly missed my guess. Times is hard. I ain't gonna lie about it. Not here for me, I mean for people in general. And regardless of times being hard, I'm gonna get back to work and try to make it a little less hard. Hey, I got some news though. I was talking to a contact of mine, a friend slash contact slash information source out west, who informed me that yesterday there had been some kind of goings on or altercation in the Edmonton area. And if I use the word car attack, I'm pretty sure it'll come up right away. Edmonton attacks spark a terror investigation. Yeah, it's made CNN already, of course. And there's a guy been arrested. Oh yeah, there's a timeline up for that too already. Global News. Thanks, Global. Chaos in Canada is cops stabbed by a man. Looks to me like a... I don't know if I believe this one either. Global News. Terrorism charges. Lovely. Hey, maybe this guy is legit a terrorist, not just your, regular disgruntled citizen. This is via CBC. Terrorism-related charges are pending against a man accused of stabbing a police officer and deliberately plowing a cube van. I do believe the van was a brand name cube van. Brand name rental of a cube van. I've got the story up here. Into pedestrians in Edmonton on Saturday night, RCMP says. That's the feds, FBI equivalent. Driver was known to both RCMP and police, says RCMP K Division Assistant Commissioner Marlon Degrand at a news conference in Edmonton RCMP headquarters on Sunday afternoon. The man is a Somali refugee. Classified as a refugee, you see. Might not even be, how to put this, might be here legally as a refugee, but would not have been accepted here had he applied for a visa and residence. Had he applied for immigration, he might not have made it. But as a refugee, he did make it. Okay. In 2015, after a complaint was made to Edmonton Police that the man was displaying signs of extremism, members of the Integrated National Security Enforcement Team, INSET, and INSET Toenail, ladies and gentlemen, launched an investigation. DeGrand said the suspect was interviewed by members of the INSET, but there was insufficient evidence to make an arrest, and the suspect was deemed not a threat, DeGrand said. Named Abdullahi Hassan Sharif is the man accused in the attacks. Multiple sources have told CBC News. Multiple sources now, but they haven't been named. DeGrand said the suspect is yet to be charged, but is under arrest for offenses including participation in a terrorist attack. Commission of an offense for a terror group, 5 counts of attempted murder. I don't think he was successful. Dangerous driving, God almighty. That's down the list there. Dangerous driving is way down on the list. Should be farther down than that. Might not even need to be on the list at all. However, this terror thing is what concerns me. Does it fill you with terror? Because it doesn't fill me with any kind of dread. Criminal flight causing bodily harm should be higher than dangerous driving. And possession of a weapon for a dangerous purpose should be higher than dangerous driving, although it's about the same as possession of the weapon. 30-year-old suspect of the attacks was apprehended following a high-speed chase. 30-year-old just before midnight through streets filled with bar patrons and Edmonton Eskimos football fans. Police have said they believe the man acted alone. Really? Really? Yeah, if he says Allah helped him, then he wasn't acting alone. And that's not to believe that Allah exists. Merely saying that there's probably a reason he didn't come to his conclusions totally alone. Extremism being what it is. Chase came to an end after the white U-Haul van he was driving struck 4 pedestrians and flipped on its side. Broken arms to brain bleeds. The injured police officer was taken to hospital and treated for non-life-threatening injuries. 4 pedestrians were injured with injuries that ranged from broken arms to brain bleeds. Police Chief Rod Knecht said during Sunday's police news conference. I guess that's Edmonton City Police Chief. 1 person who was listed in critical has been upgraded to stable. 2 others have been released from hospital. 4th suffered a fractured skull but has regained consciousness. Constable Mike Chernick, 48, was the officer injured in the violent altercation. He's been with Edmonton Police for 11 years and was conducting traffic duties outside Edmonton Eskimos game on Saturday. He's since been released from hospital and expected to make a full recovery. He suffered stab wounds to his face and hands during the knife attack. After the knife attack, then there was a truck attack with a U-Haul. Beforehand, there was some kind of a car involved. He said the details of Saturday's attack on the officer are sobering. He was a struggle for his life next to holding onto his gun with one hand and fending off the knife with the other. Public Safety Minister Ralph Goodale said in a separate news conference on Sunday that in Regina that INSET was working closely with the Edmonton Police Service, with Edmonton Police on the investigation. Officer was working alone. The officer was working alone at the time of the attack. EPS, Edmonton Police Sergeant Michael says. Edmonton Police Sergeant Michael Elliott. Guess he's president of the Alberta Federation of Police Associations and director of Edmonton Police Association, the union. Normally, officers work exclusively with partners, but exceptions are made when members are hired as security on traffic or traffic officers for special events. A lot of questions have come up, says Elliott. People ask why was that member alone. In this unfortunate incident, he was working a special duty event, so he actually hired to work for the football game. But on the street, we have criteria that when you're working, specifically at night, you're always partnered up. So why don't they have the same criteria when they're out on special assignment, quote unquote, overtime pay, bonus duty, and working for the partner? You see, working for the partner. I don't know if that's exactly the right idea. You mean to tell me that your cops are competing with your security, your general security services now? Like if you wanted to rent an armored truck, you'd consider getting the cops first? You know, that never works out good in movies either when the cops are, you know, in their armored truck. Right. Elliott said the incident has left Edmonton's law enforcement community rattled. He's encouraging officers maybe struggling to seek help. This is CBC. I don't necessarily believe everything CBC says. We just wanted to make sure our members are well taken care of, not just physically, but mentally as well, he said. Yeah, I bet. You can imagine this is a trying time for every member because questions are raised like, why did this happen? Goodale said the national terrorism threat level for Canada remains medium, and by all indications, public safety has been restored. You know what, Goodale, you're full of shit. It's a much lower level than that. And there was no restoration because it never got out of control in the first place, Ralph. You friggin' liar. Dang. One person was enough to put it out of control. Just let that sink in. If that's the truth, then Goodale's an arsehole. Canada will not be intimidated by terrorist violence, he says, and yet one person was enough to, you know, throw the balance of control out, so he's a liar. We will not be intimidated by a brutal act of hate, said Goodale. A brutal act of hate? Oh. Is it really a brutal act of hate? How can you say it's a brutal act of hate? Do you really know that? Or it could be self-defense, you know, depending on your point of view. I guess the guy gets a lawyer, Ralph. Today we condemn terrorist violence today and every day, and we'll never allow it to control or to contort the way we want to liberalize. Yeah, bullshit you won't, Ralph. Bullshit. Speaking of contortion, let's see this guy try to talk his way out of the knot he's tied into. The series of violent events was likely the work of a lone wolf, said the city's mayor. A lone wolf attack, of course. Geez, this thing just keeps going. God almighty. Trudeau? Trudeau too? Yeah, I don't give a damn what Trudeau said. It's bad enough listening to Ralph Goodale. Bad enough repeating him. Ugh, gross. I'm gonna wash my mouth out. Blurry video, but showed, hey, who we got on the go here? We got none showing up. Security footage in Edmonton of the car ramming a police officer was gut-wrenching. Yeah, there was a car involved and then a knife attack, and then he grabs some kind of U-Haul sometime later and then runs it into a bunch of people. How the hell does this all work? It's all by one guy? Greg T. Joe Lafcar was standing where the purple van and Camry were. Would the car pick up a roll due to the slope if it was in neutral? Greg, the answer is yes, it would have. And there's clear evidence that the van at least is in park, if not both of them. I can't see the Camry not being in park if the van is. Camry would have known the van's in park. We ain't going nowhere. Blurry video would show what car happened. Pedestrian even lifted his feet off the ground just before impact. None. Is that the cop you mean? Did the cop manage to get underneath or get up off the ground? Is that what you mean? Because I have not seen any video from Edmonton car attack yet. I'll even have a peek though. Sorry. I'm not laughing. I'm merely... Holy shit. Yeah, here comes the car attack video. Holy fuck, man. Frame by frame, no, we'll do it ourselves. Wow, he got out of the way a little. So he sideswiped. He's thrown impressively up in the air. That's his jacket getting thrown off of him? Or that's his arms? God almighty. Not that I believe in him. It would have picked up a roll, Greg. We got a map over here. I'll show you on the Blender map how much of a grade there is on this hill. We can calculate it quickly. But if we look on the map here, this is coming from city data. I'll turn it way up so it's nice and visible. That's 5th Street. This is 4th Street, the bottom part. This is 3rd Street. And it gains 2 feet every line. And we know that this distance is about 10 meters. Or the road surface is every bit of 5. So it's got enough of a grade. Like it's going to gain a foot over every 6 feet or something. So 1 in 6 grade to 1 in 11 grade. Somewhere like that. It's a significant grade. If it was 1 in 20, I wouldn't expect it to roll. If it was 1 in 15, maybe it wouldn't. 1 in 10, it's gonna. 1 in 6, definitely. Which is why people ride their brake down the hill. That's nothing. This one over here is even worse. Look at the grade on that one. That's like 1 in 4 or something. It's incredible here. Hey David, welcome back. We're just looking at the footage from the Edmonton crash, or the Edmonton attack. And police are saying that it's all caused by the same people, eh? Or the same person, lone wolf, going off. I don't know if I buy the whole Ralph Goodale bit, though, afterwards. God almighty. We won't be impacted by terrorism, but we're going to wring our hands and pearl clutch, as Sticks would say. Clutch at our pearls, wring our hands, and then say that it, yeah, very horrible, but at least the dude was kind enough to like limit it to a small crowd of people. I don't know how to put that. If you ask me, he looks more like a lone wolf than some other attacks I've looked at recently. I will give him that. Why it shouldn't all be done, or why it's necessarily all by the same person, I haven't seen any of that proof yet. Although he was apparently already under investigation before it happened. Blender drivers. Yeah, I gotta look for a tutorial, specific tutorial. I'm gonna let you see that I'm looking specifically for a tutorial here to look at. Don't want a YouTube one. The manual I got open. Oh, wow. So, I'll let Blender do the heavy lifting. I'm having a peek over here while I do what I do. Holy damn. Yeah, I'm going to have to wait a little while before I look at this tutorial. And it's several years old. You'd think there'd be a copy of that clicking around somewhere. Okay, howdy y'all. None. Have you seen video of riot police barring pedestrians from entering 4th and Main intersection prior to crash? Not yet, but if that's where they are after half an hour beforehand, marching in that general direction, along water and then up 4th would be a likely area for them to go to. Explains where they're all friggin' at hand. Why would they let Challenger through, or did he get past them when they weren't there or when they weren't looking? What? That's what really bugs me. A gap in the net, I can believe. Gap in the fence, I've frequently observed. Last time I saw a Canadian Prime Minister, it was here locally in this province. It was a couple prime ministers ago. Anyway, when I went to see where he was in the province, when I arrived there, I noticed there's this bloody big RCMP truck there, a really big one, and it was like a riot. It was a proper APC riot vehicle or mobile command post for a special detail. A huge fucking rig. Only gets used once in a blue moon for, you know, special occasions and dignitaries. God almighty. What a waste of money. All the special gear for poor old Harper. No, it wasn't Mulrooney. It was Stephen Harper right before he got kicked out of office. And I hate to say it, like, I'm kind of starting to prefer Harper over Trudeau. In hindsight. Not much, but it's there. Between him and Trudeau, there's been some significant changes made to the system here. I ain't going to say anything else good about taxes, though. Oh, I knows better. I find it funny to think income tax wasn't a thing until the First World War. Then all of a sudden, hey, I could be not you putting on dead air here. That's true. I got Blender open. What I've been doing in the off-screen period, or while you're not looking. Okay, what's none say? I've shaken the hands of 4 PMs. I just had to say that. Only Harper spoke with eye contact. I can believe that. Harper came from the Reform Party. General candidate type situation. So you saw him close to his constituency. Yeah, that would make sense because you live there. Okay, cool. Shaking with 4. Let's figure this out. Paul Martin has to be 1. Craig Chen would have to be 1. And Kim Campbell? Or maybe he hit, maybe he made Mulrooney. Was there anybody in between? Craig Chen, Martin, for a very short time, Clark, but no, that was a while ago. I know a guy who used to work in the PM's office under Mulrooney. I know of a guy. I knew him better when I was younger. Joe Clark, there you go. Another Westerner though, isn't he? Or is he Ontario or is he Albertan? Joe Clark's Albertan, isn't he? Joe Clark was Prime Minister for a very short time, but he was indeed Prime Minister. Never got, well, did he get elected? No, he took it over for a retiree or a stepper downer. Albertan, yeah. Maybe not of the hurtin' variety, but love him and leave. I'm not going there. I'll turn the camera on now. I'm done. I'm done hiding. Boom. Oh, it's Three's Day. It just ticked over. Look at that. I should really change the stream thing. Elected minority government beat Trudeau. Hence my effort to shake his hand. Yeah, nobody in the West liked Trudeau for his energy policy. Everybody in the East was making big of Trudeau because of the civil rights issue, or at least the human rights document which he put in place as part of the Constitution explicitly and for that purpose. That was more the thing they focused on than the energy policy. I think the term have and have not got really sharply defined during the Trudeau years. North of Red Square, Calgary, Petro. Yeah, Petro. Petro Canada came from Trudeau and is called affectionately, and was called I'll get this right, Pierre Elliott Trudeau ripped off Canada. Petro. Hey, welcome back, Joe. See, the chatters, they got the right idea. I don't have to really say anything. They'll say welcome back now on their own. That's what I like. Pretend we're waiting in a chat room for a game to start. Pretend we're all sitting here having clicked OK or ready, and the match is still waiting to form. So right before the match, you got to remember to say things like, good luck, have fun, welcome back. Things like that. Old Albertans have long memories, so I hear. That's the reason why Westerners came up with the idea like social credit and social credit. Let me think what else. Social credit, healthcare. That's true. Oh, there's some of that's Manitobans. The Reform Party. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Anyway, he came from the Reform Party. Did a Harper. He's the brilliant dude who managed to like wrestle control of the Reform Party back from the Reformers, put it back on a business, and like on a business footing, and steer it through those hard years of the war. The war that didn't end, the Afghanistan war. So I've got to figure out a way of getting data off of these curves, the green one and the red one, for a speedometer. That's one thing that's been bugging me. Went to sleep thinking about it. Woke up ready to like dig into it. Preston Manning changed federal policy without ever winning general election for Reform. Truth. He managed to get him to a fighting status, fighting stance, but he knew I guess people like Harper understood they'd never going to get elected under the banner Reform Party. So they took back conservative from PC, rebranded under conservative, and Danny Williams here in this province hated him so much for it, or at least publicly pretended to, that he told us not to vote anything but conservative, is how he put it, ABC. Yeah, I could turn the volume up. My volume, you mean? Jeez. Seems like it's pretty loud. I could definitely raise the volume. La 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 la. Check, check, check. Check, check, check. Better, better, better. Swing, better, 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 better. How's that? Preston Manning changed a lot of stuff, yeah. Anyway, Manning's branding didn't work. The whole reform bit. According to UVA caterer, Fields was driving 100 miles per hour forward and backwards. So I don't know about that. I think the chopper, according to UV is doing significantly less than that, and it helps us to, it also helps us to establish where the chopper's flight path might have been. That's the next thing tonight. But the speedometer for the car really bugs me, because it should be simple. And I'm thinking all it's going to be is a text object which is parented to the controller for the car, which will be floating over the car, near the car, which I know exactly where it is because it's making this part of the trip. The on text object needs to get a numerical value from the curve, which is telling us explicitly what like a velocity is in an eastward-westward direction, as well as a northward-southward direction. So east, west, north, south for the two directions for the vector part. Distance and time is the only two things left to consider. So the way to consider it, I think, I can do this in Blender as an expression, either by looking at whatever the tangent is on a given curve or line. Here is going to be next to 0. Very little component of speed coming from x and like east-west, but much more from north-south. But at any given moment in time, I want a momentary speed to be what's displayed. Now, I've been trying to figure out how to get that to work in Blender. I think I got it. I think I got it now. Because I can pass it a frame number and divide the frame number by the number of frames per second to actually get the right decimation on the curve to get the right speed, so to speak. You said it on video twice? What? Yeah, Water Street's level, but Joe, if you were parked at the stop line on 4th, at the stop line, or even on the sidewalk, so that your tail end of the car is still up on 4th a bit, would you leave that in neutral? Would you leave that in neutral, get out of the car, and walk down in front of it? Answer that question. And if the answer is yes, I'd like you to prove it with a camera. According to the U-Vacator, it feels is driving 100 miles per hour. Yeah, he's not exactly a trustworthy speed measurement. That's true. That's why he lost the job as a speedometer, maybe. He's a caterer, but not a courier. If you were a courier, you'd know speeds. Joe, yeah, don't try it, please. But I would offer that as like not just an explanation for the street, but there is enough of a grade there, I think, 2 feet over most of the distance of the van, that it's not going to bother, or it's going to put itself in park when it stops there. And it doesn't stop there, it stops further down the hill. So it's about a foot over its own length, which is 6, as I say. 1 in 6, 1 in 7 maybe. That's a lot of grade. Because it's like that on the grade. It's at the lowest point, or it's at the median point between the two lines of distance, and this is 5 meters. So 1 in 9, 1 in 10. Someone told me 1 in 11 they calculated. I think that's accurate. I would not leave a car in neutral there. It wouldn't roll very far, but it would roll. Hey, good evening, Dolly. Did Fields back up through the intersection of Market, or did he turn while backing onto Market? Looks like he backs up. And this is on Gilmore, David. Gilmore seems to caption backing straight into the street and then turning once into the left lane, or into the right-hand lane for going east. So he doesn't go like that. He goes back and then turns. Now maybe he goes over here a little bit to make that turn easier, but you do see him kind of go through the motions from front on to side on. So I tend to think he limits the amount of backing this way. He takes a chance going into the road at all at speed, but maybe he knows it's blocked, right? Where is the curve? The curve after accident. This is going from Gilmore. Let's do it 10 times speed. Get him close to it. If I go to the camera view, this is all practically from Gilmore, from around the moment that the square hits the center of the line there. If anything, I don't think Gilmore planned to catch the car at the beginning. He was maybe a little too fast. Gives up a lot of information. If he's in on it, he gave us too much information. Should have been a shit ton more redacted, and it isn't. But he tells us all of this. And then I can make an educated guess as to what happens because of the caterer. But this is the change in his speed due to what the caterer says. Or at least what the caterer's video says. Slows down here because there's a white van going in the opposite direction, so he allows it to pass, and then he speeds up again. He accelerates right up through this intersection. And from this point on, where we might as well think about this square as his more likely path than what this is. Caterer thinks he got pulled over. I don't. So I'll fix his motion to go along with this probably all the way up to 10th. Yeah, Si's got impeccable skills, man. The yellow Jeep dude video is quite useful. The chopper alone. Getting a good shot of the chopper. Yeah, he does. He has to pass the way that the road is blocked, right. There is a block there, but the roadblock is someone sitting in this lane. Right about here. So he has to go around it. So is that why he stopped the yellow Jeep over here? Because he knew this was road blocked off and he's watching the roadblock? And he's there really early. He's there wicked early. That's his video there showing already. Before the accident. Like it's that much before the accident. 6:40. So like a full minute before. No, I wanted to hide it. I wanted to also turn off the waveform. Gee, Rebel. Nope. I'm going to go with Lorenz this time. Control H. I'm looking for audio samples of the helicopter prior to the accident. Prior to that minute that we hear it on UVA Caterer. Faith Goldie be good. Rebel be good too, but Ford Fisher's got a long-term set of samples. Lorenz also does. Lorenz is at one end of the road. Do you see why I want the two different ones now? Lorenz is way the hell up one end of the street. Well, Lorenz is down here. Where's Lorenz again? Lorenz made it this far. Ford is over here. Between the two of them, I might get a better idea where the helicopter is, because triangulation from 2 points. But if I go back farther in time, hey, here's Lorenz now. Here's Ford. The farther apart they get, the easier it is for me to really pinpoint where that friggin' chopper is. So I'm going to go back just a tiny bit more and listen before UVA caterer picks up. So she's getting close to the intersection. She's passing this, was at 3rd Street.
White people, everybody, free speech, right? You guys get heavy black people in the ring? No black people?
It's all Ford.
Still gotta care about my personal sort of well-being, so I'm gonna grab some water, take a quick diversion, but I won't shut down the live stream for now. If you have any questions, now would be a good time to comment.
Rebels in the intersection already. We're just using this for a visual cue.
I'm gonna start moving again. Emily asked us whether there have been more arrests. The answer is at this point, I don't know. It's rather hard
Yeah,
to
here
say.
he goes. He just started, right?
Now, we're at August Drive. A lot of protesters are leaving.
I don't hear any chopper in Lorenz at all. You might earlier, but not later. That's the chopper overhead, practically at the moment of it, but just before the attack begins. He's yet to start. Oh, he's pretty much already started. Just about to begin.
This car, here comes a car that's totally smashed.
It seems a little fast compared to the playback.
Looks like a cop just got him.
And here to stomping feet. A bunch of them. So anyhow, yeah, the chopper. That's the other thing that I'm really interested in. So I'll get back to that. Until then, working out a way of controlling the speed, or getting a speed readout any given moment in time for a given selected object, or a controller for an object like that one. Nap time. See you later, Nun. Cops didn't stop him for a mile or two down the road. Someone said it was 3 to whatever the name of the road is, wherever he was pulled over, or videotape stop. Either way, he's downrange some distance before you get stopped. Not as quick as UVA indicates either, yeah. He must have mistaken what he thought he saw. Might as well get back right to the beginning here, where it's a decent, easily found location. Holding still for a little while first, and close to the center. Not that that matters, because I got one of them, or what they're called. Well, he's keyframed here not to start moving, but I got a cursor. I'm thinking where best to put it, but right there I'll do. Snap it to the grid. I'm going to add a text object. Pretty small at this moment in time. I'll make it bigger. I could do it this way. Oh, maybe that won't work unless I have it selected. Make it this much bigger to be able to see it easily from outside view. I don't need to really move it. I want it to be linked to this in the same fashion as everything else which is linked to it. Like I could grab this, try to move it. It won't, because I've locked it down. I'll do the same thing to this one once I've found a good position for it. But its control point is currently that little thing right there in the center of the cursor. And that I'm going to link specifically somewhere to here, probably on this outside edge. Keep it upright even though it might turn. I want to keep its orientation always towards the camera. I think I can get this working. If I can't, I'll figure it out. And this is going to be specifically for Challenger. I thought first maybe I had to do a big old script to do this, but the answer is no, I don't. This is neat. It's neat how this works. I don't want its rotation to change. Ever. I just want it to be somewhere in space. I want its X location, or Z location. I'll put it up to 7. So it's well above anything else on the map. And I want it to be constrained. I think I got this one set to be constrained. and merely constrained, only constrained to, ooh, that's linked in a funny way. N. Gonna make this one smaller first. This one I think only has a constraint applied. Copy location, copy rotation, both. And in this case for the challenger controller. I'm going to do the same thing, but I don't really need to copy rotation, just location for text. So text will get a modifier, but a constraint, copy location. And then so that puts it on Camry, or Camry, Challenger. Invert, invert, invert. Offset. Ooh, where'd it go? Way the heck down here. Can I grab it now? Yeah, I can. If I take that off, it'll go off, but I can manually set an offset to it. That way. I want the offset. And I'm going to lock it down in local space, wherever this offset happens to be. Ooh. Get this right. I'm going to put that offset and hold it there by locking it this way. It's very small offset because it's only working from this local object as its center. I can still change the text. It's currently reading nothing. Eventually going to want it to have some kind of number and then a mile per hour or something afterward. I use miles per hour for now. I can convert back and forth when and if the time it comes, you know, when we get to that point. I already kind of know what the numbers work out to. I did some envelope math earlier. Much earlier, and I'm happy to say that envelope numbers are really cool. Roughly 1 mile to where Fields was stopped. Is that all? Someone said 3 last night. David? Yeah, Monticello and Blenheim. Blenheim. Looks like Blenheim to me. All this by way of saying now that as the Challenger moves, there's a thingy there. The real thing is I want this text value, the numeric part of this, to change. Like I want one to be a number, and then I want like a letters one afterwards that will be different. So I'll make a copy of this one. I'll shift duplicate it and drop it there. So now there's 2 of these things, speedometer, Challenger, and this was 001. I'm going to put down MPH on the 001, the 001 one. Go edit, delete it, and go MPH there. Don't need to see this for a second. Ooh. Right back to the beginning. Thank you. Maybe a good time to get this space back and go back to 4. Here's the MPH one. This one needs to be offset differently. So what I need to do now is, certainly I didn't need to really go in here. I just unlock its location, grab it and move it on the X a little bit forward. Perhaps it doesn't need to be that big. I'm not going to worry about that too much. So I'm offsetting it so it'll be nearby, but it'll give this number room to grow, get bigger. Could move it back a little bit too, but I'm going to keep it where it is for now. Also quite aware that this is going to be taking up real estate on the screen. So I'm hesitant about how big to make it, but it's going to be bigger for now until I'm done looking at it from a distance kind of thing. Or dealing with it when it's at a distance. But either way, now when we scroll forward, we got an actual moving text unit accounted for. One for an unchanging value, one for a changing one. The changing value is what I want to get changed. Or what I want to get straightened away. This part. Gonna go looking in here now. Don't need to make any changes to the transformation. It's going to go to custom properties, display, groups, relations. No duplications, no relations, extras. No motion paths. So it's all about a custom property. I should be able to get a value inside this text box specifically. Might have to do a script to actually do it, because it needs to look for a text unit, specifically name something. Like this. I want to find this particular value and then make what it reads, what the text value is. Because right now, well, it's funny to think I haven't got a spot here that I can see that. What's the text value? Not the shape, not the geometry, not the font, not the paragraph. I can put a text counter on it, right? But I don't want one of those. Yeah, if I can't do this easily, if I can't link that value specifically to a numerically generated value that's coming off of a driver here on this curve, this would be a pain. And that's just what I got to figure out now. Is there somewhere where I can enter the text value in this window? Items right here. That's clearly different than that one. If I hit edit mode, then I actually am able to change it. Properties, prop. Oh no, it's there one way or the other because I added it. Shoot. Pull the window up again. Going to remove the custom property for a second. Object name, right? Bypassed object. See, this is exactly it. This is the one I need to look for. I got to start writing some of this stuff down because they're going to be coding before long. Might not be much code, but it's going to be code nonetheless. It ain't under none of that. F text. 1 mile from Market and 4th to Monticello. And 1 mile is 2.2 kilometers. That's still longer than the distance he had to go from Market or from Water Street back to. It's still longer than the distance he had to go from Water Street all the way back around to via Market to the crossover. What I'm trying to spit out there. Like, I mean to say, this isn't a mile. The mile is somewhere way over here. Is it 2.2 kilometers? No, that can't be right. It's 1.8. Or is it 1.6? Where's my calculator? Where's that damn calculator? $1.61. That makes more sense. 1.6. 1.61. So yeah, 2 miles close to 3.2, 3.22. What was the time? Did anyone know what the time of arrest was? Has that been published? Or can we see like a record of that one on her? If he's arrested within a mile and his time of arrest is known, we can pretty much tell when the rest of it happened from the time of arrest. It's within a mile. Hell, he's going to make, if he's doing 50, he's going to make that mile in about a minute. If you're doing 30, a mile takes about 2 minutes. Damn, it's a lot of times since I had to calculate by 60s. I mean, say like numbers by 60s. Why are there 2 of me? What do you mean 2 of me? One with and one without a mask? There's only one of me. Or one who shaves frequently and one who doesn't. I picked the wrong week to start watching Orphan Black. Two of me? There were 2 of me earlier. Oh, wait a minute. Text object. But data objects, that's the name of the object. Get this, import bpy, and then what are you doing now? I'm trying to figure out how to get my 0 counter here to start reading what something on the graph says about this controller, which it's parented to, or it's following. I want this to be a speedometer for this controller, which the Challenger is currently following. That would make my job a little bit easier, especially if it's converted already for miles per hour, which I think I can arrange. Knowing what the conversion factor is, again, for the very, umpteenth time. Might want to scribble that one down. Oh, yeah. You can talk amongst yourself. I was just curious, because last night someone said it was 2 or 3 miles. I was like, geez. That's a while. That's a distance. It takes a couple minutes to get there. And it's not quite that far. Not quite. Hey, David. Have a good one. Let's get to a point where there's some decent action on that there curve. It needs to be the combination of whatever this curve is, whatever that curve is, and it's over frame range. So this needs a driver. Ah, this is all coming back to me now. This needs a driver. Custom properties. It's going to get a custom property. I think the custom property can get a name. I can edit the property. Call the property text. Make the property value whatever I want. Let's just say it's 10. You have a minimum value of 1, a maximum value of 120. Tooltip doesn't matter. What if this says value? Trying to get the value to explicitly change. Nope. See you later, Joe. What am I looking for? I am looking for that one again. This is why I was rebroadcasting, because I want to be doing some reading in the background. It's just boring to watch, but it needs to happen. There's a manual online for Blender. Periodically, you have to consult the manual. Update text. Where's the script window? Well, there's still a script window there. I'm going to double check this part. Blender 2.6 scripts catalog using add-ons. Current Python API reference. That's a good one. Now this is causing a ton of memory to be chewed up by the computer in Firefox. So if this gets a little jerky, I apologize. Definitely apologize if this gets a little crazy. BPy data. Import BPy for ob and BPy data print ob named. This stuff is useful, but not what I need. Application data. Not the ones I need either. Path utilities, nope. Math utils. Probably the one I'll be looking for. Not noise, not interpolation. Maybe interpolation. Actually, it is interpolation. Ah, Poly 3D Calc. Okay, never mind. Only one there. Wow, this is a useful document. Going to bookmark that one. Oh, you can't see what I'm seeing here. I got Blender blocking it. Let me go down here. I got it off of this page, blender.org, extensions, Python scripts, scripts catalog. What I'm thinking is if I can tell if it's north or south or east or west, depending on, because they're separated already, there's two curves for this, one for X, one for Y. If the slope is going low to high, then that's telling me it's going south to north. So we'll call that a plus direction. And north to south, therefore, a negative direction. But only on the y-axis. Only for the green line. And then for X, the same is true, but for east and west. Sorry, west at the bottom and east at the top. Or either way. How do I keep the two of them straight if I add the vectors together? I only need to add the absolute values. They're being added together as a square. It's north, south, east, and west, one way or the other. So they're squarely being added, and this is the vector sum. It would be on a right-angled addition every time. That's why it's useful. So whatever the square value is for this, whatever the square value is for that, add them together, take that number, and get the root. That's the math for the additive vector. Simple vectors, simple trig math, right? I should be able to take a tangent value of the curve, and just get the speed right off it. It should be right there. I can't figure out where it is. It's so simple. This is a useful one, I think. Editors, modeling. Oh, that's the one I was just watching or looking at. It's really under animation because I'm going to use scripts. It's kind of under drivers. Oh. I want to see a text object. I need the API reference. So yeah, the text can have an attached script, and then I can specifically command it run the script. I want a text object. I want to see more about the actual text itself. I want to see how its data is put together, because there's a way of doing this. Object text add. Troubleshooting. Looking for the script window. Data system might be a better place to look. There's data blocks, custom properties. Text data blocks are specifically for text. That's why I should be looking where I was. What I'm really looking for here is something different again. Oh man, what am I doing? I've already got this done. I've already got this one script, see? It's more than one script, but I got this one script, see? Works out really nice. I can pull open a text editor right here in Blender. I'll open a text block where I know where this swims to. It's under scripts. Merc old style. No. That one. Python. Blender Merc. .py. Same counter that's on the screen below here. Same as this, but in Blender. And Blender's is, I don't know if I would describe it as more complicated than that one. It ain't. It's probably a little simpler than that one, because I worked out in advance that if I'm using 30 frames a second, then one of the last digit here is 13 frames long. And I can just use that using easy. It would be easy to fix that, see? That's the way I looked at it. So what I need to now see is, how did I manage to do this? Scene, BP context. Can I make this text bigger? Perfect. Ooh, didn't need to do that. I wanted to get rid of that there panel. Ooh, did it again. Shiz. Turn off the properties. Control T in this one. Ah, right, because it's another panel. So this is a script which will get the same thing to happen in Blender, but it needs to look for a text object. It gets this object data body from this phrase, passes it forward, append, recalculate text, print. That was a testing print. So I have to explicitly enter a start frame, an end frame, an M frame. And there's the simple math to get the numbers to work out right. Object data body, amp handlers, flame change, pre-append, recalculate text. I just go after scene objects Mercutio. This tells me that I expected the value to be this, but it still doesn't answer the question I had. Got a second one. Gonna close this text block. I don't want to see this one again. Unlink, yep. Open text block under Python. This one might work better. I've got another one, a third one here that I've been working with. Oh no, it's handled it exactly the same way. Shoot. Not good. One more. Python. This is different. Oh, not going to work. Different purpose entirely. Open text block, Python, must be Monster Cat. There was another, I did this other tutorial a long time ago. Yeah, CHTP. There's actually explicitly entered in here. I should turn on my own chat room again. Here you go, chat. Joe and David gone. Oh, it's so simple, this Monster Cat one. But this does exactly what I want to do, actually, is to get a particular value and apply the right math to it like this, L and H, to get the right combination to get the speed. Essentially does the same thing, this. Ah. So yeah, it goes right the way through. Not what I need. No, sir. Not the one either. Not the one's going to tell me what I've already done once or figured out once. Not large scale, not unbig. Oh, this should be dead. This should be darn simple. Need it to get. Gotta keep looking for the right. Gotta keep looking for the right resource here. That's the one that got me on a lot. Try animating text. Yeah, here's the specific question. Yeah, it's pretty simple. Yeah, recalculate text scene. Damn, this is exactly the answer. This does show. I did it the same way with the last one, the Mercutio one. This will be simple. Scene object scroll. Okay, this needs to be done though with a script. But I can make a single script and attach it to any speedometer. Try to limit the number of speedometers required. Copy. Now that I've found something worth using. Hello this, hello that, hello text. Can I paste? I'll create one. Okay, scene BP, bpi context scene, right? Object, scene objects, text is going to be a different name. Scene objects, or in this case the item, is this one. So Control C that and pasta there. And then this. It's going to be that. Oh. No. That one. Control V. X equals this. But hold on a second. If I Control copy and go to there, and Y will now equal location 1. Object data body equals distance in X direction, which is to the format X. But this is the entirety of the data. Oh. Now I need to calculate both, right? So speed is the absolute value of both of them added together, or the vectors added together. Since they're always square to one another, I can just add the square vectors together. And there's no extra directions to be considered due to the way that the data has been collected. We got one in one direction, one in the other. Absolute square of both. Say, what's the square in -5 again? Speed equals and time is okay, hang on now. Time I'm gonna call this VCalc. The distance, wherever these distances are. Okay, VCalc over time, but I gotta figure out the time too. How do I get the time? So it's the frame number divided by 30. I gotta look that up again. Like that. It's either frame over 20. VCalc is the square root. Okay, I gotta look up how to get the square root here. What's square root in Python? Okay, just simply S key out. Yeah, okay. You gotta look them all up. Yeah, it's simple enough. I don't really need to look that up, really. Where are we? VCalc equals square root of x times x plus y times y. Divided by frame over 30. I think I need to put the spaces around that. So it should be the speed, since I get this square value, the square root of this square relationship, whatever the distance truly is for the start frame and end frame, over a span of 30 frames per frame. Object data body then becomes not this, and this tells me format X, whatever the format of this is in. It could be X or Y, but it should be meters per second. It'll be meters per second for now, but I could also reconvert this to miles per hour explicitly right now. Divided by 1.61 kilometers. Well, that's meters. Hang on. Looking at meters per second right now. It needs to be multiplied by 1,000 or by the appropriate number of seconds. 60 and 60 is 3,600. And that. It is frame divided by, right? I gotta look that up again. Oh yeah. This will get us kilometers per hour. And this gets us miles per hour with 1 decimal place. Guess curly brackets puts it Okay, this text block currently doesn't have what I'm going to call this speedometer work. And I'm going to save it so that it's at least saved in this Blender file. And I should run it. I should actually run the script. Alt run it. See how it works, if it works at all. Not seeing any indication of it working yet. How it can know what it's got no way of knowing what the time is. How can I get a frame number? Time to load another one. Do I use Mercutio to get a frame number? Because frankly I must, right? Blender Merc Pi. Open. Scene frame current. Ah, that's what I did. CFR scene frame current. So I copy pasta from the other one to the one I need. So where I've got frame put in here, I now have to put CFR. We save. We run the script. The fun of using computers to do things, but it really is the fun. It's the fun that I like. Alt-R to run that again. Reload it. Could not reopen file. Text. Run script. Alt-P. Ah. That should work. Objects, data, body. In this form, like whatever this is. Maybe I don't need this. Oh. It's telling me I need a float there. Save over. Let me look at this again. So it's all of this %D, %D. Ah. I did that the simple way. It should only be %D. Gonna load another one. Looks like I need those other two open after all. Python. Because it was done the same way both times. The earlier one is not so, how to put it, not nearly as refined. So I did it differently to get the numbers. And I had a difference in timing. It made a big problem for me at the time. Percent fix, right? So since I need this string appended to it, I make a string out of this integer. Aha. Cool. Don't need the Blender's Pi one either, but I'll leave it open for now. %D and then % vcalc. I do believe that's going to do it. Alt P, run the script. And to turn off that crap. And to turn on that crap. Come on, script. Let's see something happen. Let's go back to the beginning. Ain't going to get nothing for the first few. It's this one, speedometer challenger. V controller default challenger location. Scene objects location. Here's my recently closed tabs. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop to eat or something. I've been going for 3 hours. Jesus, doesn't seem that long. Doesn't seem that long at all. Huh? 3 hours it is. Without much stopping. That's what it really is. History, recently closed tabs. How to make dynamic text. Scene objects location. Yeah, index 1, 2, or 3, right? 0, 1, 2. I think I got that done right. Don't see what I'm missing here. Location, like index 0 or 1, should be correct. I get the square root of x and y added together, of the squares of x and y added together. Divide it by the time and multiply it by seconds and minutes to get per hour converted. VCalc is coming out right the other side, provided I get the right location data. Location I've keyframed. I might have to link this specifically to yeah. Maybe I don't run it so much as I look for in the graph editor here. Go under N. Drivers was what I was thinking about, huh? I was thinking about at the very beginning. This script I've written could count as a driver. In the long and the short of it. So maybe I should just stop looking where I'm not getting any help and look at where I might. I think I got the script written right. Dang if I can get it just to update by running the script. Pretty sure I have to attach it either to this thing or that thing. No, I definitely want that thing to be selected. I want both of those curves to be considered. Drivers. Can I add a new one? Key. I want to get F curve data in. Can I bake it maybe? It'll help, I don't know. I think this is the thing that needs the driver added. Got a funny feeling though, it's going to be over in this window. Where is its value explicitly listed? Was it embodied that I saw that there then? Was it explicitly embodied that the text one had? Oh man. Wild. Definitely gonna need to take a little break and eat. Yeah, object data body. Might actually have to convert it to a string first, and then the string, make a string of the VCalc, in other words, which seems backwards and awkward, but it'll work. I don't want this weird ass decimal number. V string equals str VCalc, but to some number of decimal places. Again, I'm going to have to load that other one. A string of the integer t so much simpler that way. This one had the right idea, I think. D equals integer of a string, because there's a string being put together to get the number. So what was one decimal point again? And control history. Okay, string scene frame current. I don't know if frame current still works either. Is it format? Z-fill, I don't need a 6, but that's for a whole other deal there. I want it to go down, I don't want it to be, you know, a decimal number with 10 places after it. I want maybe one single, like this, 0.1F float. And format X, try that. V string equals okay, string equals. Let's get this working first. Maybe this one will go. Maybe this one will run and I'll start seeing a difference. Might have expected to see it update before this though. I don't think this works anymore. Okay, let's try that. That might be a neat way of going about it. String CFR. Excellent, excellent test. Alt P. That should already be updating and it ain't. Object data body has got to be the problem, but it's working with other ones. That doesn't make sense. work. I'm reading up as I'm doing things here. This is like boring as heck to watch. That I don't doubt. I need a bookmark on this page. This is a good bookmark page. %53F. .1F. Format. VCalc. That should work. Get rid of this for a second. In fact, let's do one better and put that hash there. Am I getting any numbers at all through this? Import bpi, scene object is the speedometer, CFR is the frame current. Save, Alt P to run it. It's not showing any indications of working yet. I haven't used one of these in a long time either. Alright, code it is for the next time on the Banjocast. My name is jamespfp. Going to be taking a break, eating something, perhaps getting a cup of tea. Until we talk again, comment below, let me know what you think, and I will talk to you later. 48.415225